Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 online, ESPNEvansville.com. Joining us now for his first of many weekly segments throughout the college football season. He is a college football featured columnist for Bleacher Report. Brian Petersen joins us now. And Brian, thanks for the time. Looking forward to talking to you all season long. We're underway. College football is here. No meaningless preseason. It's real football games that mean something, wins, losses, and all that good stuff. And last night we had a couple of games, more the, marquee games, for the first weekend here. And the first one being Michigan taking on Utah. Now we, as I mentioned before we got started, kind of sit in the middle of Big Ten country. We got a lot of Michigan fans here in our area. They lose last night 24-17 to Utah. In your opinion, what should the realistic expectations be for Michigan in this first year under Jim Harbaugh?
I think this first year is all about trying to establish what kind of a team he's going to have and how he's going to approach things. It's not so much the personnel or even the results. It's about just how he's taking it to changing what has happened in Ann Arbor the last few years, the last few coaches. And there was promise last night that they do not have the talent to really compete against most teams, but they held themselves pretty well against a very good Utah team. That late rally to be able to score another touchdown and get it a little close, it looked good. Jake Rudock is not a long-term answer. He's just there for the 1 year, and he's going to have his ups and downs. He just needs to fit a little bit better with what Harbaugh wants to do. I think that they'll have the ability to beat some teams this year, but to really expect anything more than 6 or 7 wins, that would be the ultimate ceiling, and it may very well be a losing season.
Well, I watched a little bit of that game last night. I wasn't able to catch all of it, but from what I've seen a majority of it. But from what I've seen, we're already seeing Jim Harbaugh football out of this University of Michigan team. At least I feel that way. Did you kind of see the same thing with taking what the defense gives you, deal 4 or 5 yards here and there, and then boom, you're in the end zone? Did you get that same feeling?
Oh yeah, there's certainly the mentality. You could feel it. You could see it in the way they were playing. It's going back to using throwback uniforms while they're on the road, having a little bit more of an old school approach to how they were going to be playing on offense, having the strong defense that he had when he was in San Francisco in the NFL. It was all evident there, and he was doing it with, I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, but he wasn't doing it with the players he wants to do it with. He was doing it with what he had available, and I think it was a pretty good performance all the same. I mean, they need to get better to be able to beat teams, and then if you stack them up right now against Ohio State, they'd have no chance. But maybe by the end of the year, he's got these guys playing far better than what you thought they were capable of, what they were capable of last year under Bertie Hope.
Brian Petersen, college football featured columnist for Bleacher Report, joining us on the Menard Studio Hotline. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3 online, ESPNEvansville.com. Let's jump over to the TCU-Minnesota game last night. TCU comes out with the win, 23-17. Minnesota trying to make a move there in the closing seconds and just ran out of time. But Trayvon Boykin throws 246 yards, a touchdown, ran for another 92, a guy that some people consider to be in the running for the Heisman Trophy coming into the season this year. So just some thoughts on what you saw out of not just Boykin last night, but TCU in general, a number 2 ranked team in the country taking on an unranked Minnesota team, and they had their struggles.
They did, but it was a very important win for TCU. It's a resume builder. It was the kind of game that if they had lost, it was going to put a serious damper on their chances to make the playoffs, because I don't think any Big 12 team can afford to lose to anyone other than one of the big names in the conference. So it was important that they were able to just get out of there with a win and have it be a strong win. If you remember, Ohio State only won by 7 points at Minnesota last year, so it's not that it was a bad team. Minnesota is not really capable of running all over the place. They don't have that great of an offense, but their defense is pretty solid. And to hold, last year they gave up 30 points to TCU, which was the least the Frogs scored. This year, only 23. So that's an accomplishment in itself. But with TCU, they just wanted to be able to get out of there and get the win.
You mentioned Ohio State. Let's go ahead and stick with them for a minute. They opened the season, preseason ranked number 1, of course, defending national champion. They'll take on Virginia Tech, much like the way they started the season last year. in a game that, if memory serves me correctly, they lost, but obviously it didn't affect anything when it came to playoff time. Still no word officially from Urban Meyer as to who's going to be his starting quarterback, whether it's going to be Cardale Jones or JT Barrett. In your opinion, which way does he go? Is he leaning more towards Barrett, do you think? Is that who we'll see line up under center on Monday night?
I think it will end up being JT Barrett, sophomore. I think that the holdup is more a matter of they're both going to play, and he's trying to see which one he's going to go with more based on the type of plays he wants to run. I think that they'll both have their own packages of plays. If it is Barrett that starts, he would get the majority of that. They'd want to have Cardale in there for certain schemes and scenarios. I think right now he's just trying to figure out what does he want to start with. Does he want to be more of a power thing right off the bat, or does he want to go a little bit more of the dual threat mobility game? And also figuring out, do we want to be tricky at first? Do we want to be straightforward? There's a lot of overthinking that comes with these first games. We won't see that throughout the year. I think it'll be a little bit more definitive as each game goes on.
From what you see so far, does Ohio State have a realistic chance of repeating?
Oh, very much so. Nobody last night of the few top teams did anything extraordinary, and this is why there shouldn't be rankings early in the season, because you're not what you're going to be in December and January, in August and September. You really have to get everything figured out. I'm out here in Arizona, and the Arizona Wildcats, which are going to be a good team, barely beat UT San Antonio by 10 points, had so many injuries and suspensions. You have that the first game of the year. You're missing players. You still haven't figured out what kind of team you're going to be. And there's nobody who did anything of any substance. Ohio State is the team, the gold standard, until somebody knocks them off.
Brian Petersen, our guest, college football featured columnist for Bleacher Report's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3. Online, ESPNEvansville.com. Sticking with the quarterback situation, there's another one down there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that nobody seems to know which way it's going to go. Nick Saban's kept it very close to the vest, which is expected, but he's got potentially three different guys that could start at quarterback. Who do you think finally wins out there, or does he go by? I can't imagine he'll go by a quarterback kind of committee. It just doesn't seem like that kind of style of football in Alabama, but who do you think might be lining up when they take on Wisconsin over the weekend?
Well, gosh, you could pretty much just take a dart and throw it at the board right now. It's so uncertain, and the fact that it's three different guys who all have had this opportunity and none of them have taken it, it is a little troubling. It's not like the Ohio State situation where you can't go wrong with who you pick, and they both bring so much to the table. None of these Crimson Tide quarterbacks have done anything to separate themselves, and it's very, very unique. I don't think Saban's ever had anything to this level. Last year with Jake Coker and Blake Sims, it was a matter of, do I want to go with the transfer, or do I want to go with the career backup? They're both probably going to do something well for me. I just have to decide the approach. And then they picked Sims, and they ran with it, and it worked out great. He set all these records. I don't think there's really very much confidence in any of these guys, and that's just surprising from a team like Alabama that recruits so well that they don't have the quarterback.
Well, they've been a national powerhouse for so long, and you just always expect. I mean, they come in again. I know preseason rankings are what they are. It's something to talk about, really, more than anything. But they come in preseason ranked number 3. But it feels to me like there's a distinct possibility, and it could be because of this quarterback situation, they might find themselves not in that mix there at the end as one of the final 4 teams in that college football playoff. Is that kind of what you feel?
The potential is there, but only if it's a case where they get into a game where they need the quarterback to do something big for them to win. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case the first half of the season. They just don't have enough competition there. Wisconsin will be the toughest game, but I still, even with the uncertainty at quarterback, I think that they are a far better team than the Badgers. And just having the defense they have, as well as Derrick Henry, which you could just hand the ball off to over and over and over again behind a strong offensive line, they don't really need too much from the quarterback. I mean, last year, you could look at Wisconsin against LSU as an example. They didn't need to get anything out of their quarterback. They had Melvin Gordon running over LSU's defense, and then they tried to have the quarterback be involved and make difference, and they ended up blowing that lead to the Tigers. Alabama probably won't try to do the same thing. If they're ahead, if they've got the running game going, they're just going to go with it.
Talking to Brian Petersen, college football featured columnist for Bleacher Report. So we've got still a whole host of games coming up this weekend. Just off the top of your head, the one that you're most looking forward to seeing play out over the weekend?
I think the Arizona State-Texas A&M game is the one that has the most implications for the entire season. First off, it's the only Pac-12 SEC matchup of the entire season. Might not even see each other again in bowls or anything like that. And with so much debate over which is the better division and which is the better conference, it provides some bragging rights. But it's also a game, particularly on the Arizona State side, that could be a super springboard to get into playoff talk. I've seen a lot of national people have picked the Sun Devils as kind of a surprise choice for the playoffs. And a win in a game like this, which is essentially a road game. I know it's neutral in Houston, but that's going to be 85-90% minimum Texas A&M fans. If they can go in and beat an SEC team in SEC country, that would be a huge boost, not only for them, but for the conference.
All right, one more for you, Brian. We'll let you go. Of all the games this weekend, which potential outcome could cause the biggest overreaction on Monday? For example, let's say Louisville beats number 6 Auburn and everybody just flips their lids. Which game for you has that potential to have the biggest overreaction based on the outcome over the weekend?
You know what? I think it's actually probably going to be that Alabama-Wisconsin game. If Alabama doesn't dominate, people are going to start mentioning that, maybe the time has come for Alabama and Saban to no longer be considered the dominant team. But they were not spectacular in their opener last year against West Virginia. In fact, I think it was more that West Virginia played far better than anyone thought, and instead it was transferred on to Alabama that maybe they're not that good. And then we see them make the semifinals and pretty much look dominant throughout the year. Alabama, because they're so good and so good every year, those top teams tend to get nitpicked. And if they don't have a dominant performance, which I don't think they're winning by 30 points against Wisconsin, I think there could be some overreaction of this team really just isn't that good.
It's Brian Petersen, college football featured columnist for Bleacher Report, joining us on the Menard Studio Hotline. And Brian will be with us every Friday throughout the college football season. Brian, great stuff. We look forward to talking to you each and every week, and appreciate the time.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'll talk to you guys next week.